Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Jordan Parham, and in this multi-part series, we're going to be walking through the AZ-104 Azure Administrator Lab exercises. So this is going to be a multi-part series, and I've provided the GitHub link for you all. So if you want to work on the exercises, you can do so. These really revolve around getting that hands-on real-world scenarios and experience on Azure Compute, Storage, and Networking. There are also identity and monitoring labs as well. Overall, it's meant to help prepare and get you ready for the AZ-104 exam, or if you want to gain the necessary skills. It's also meant to help and be a walkthrough for you. So if you experience any blockers, this will hopefully resolve the blockers that you may experience. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to move to my portal screen. And right now it's in split screen with my lab instructions on the left. So within this lab, we're really talking about subscriptions and our role-based access control. So just like in lab 1, we're going to be creating users. In this case, we are assigning a custom role-based access control role to that Azure Active Directory user. We also are going to be creating a management group. And we're going to do this because in our next lab, the second part, we are talking about Azure Policy. And this will be helpful when we scope for our Azure policies. From here, we have this particular custom role. And as I'm talking about this, I'm reminded, where are we getting this custom role from? Well, it is in the required labs file, which I'm going to go ahead and download. Let us go ahead and get started. Here's a high-level overview of what we can anticipate to see within this lab and the hands-on skills that we will gain. So within task 1, we are going to be creating our management group, and by default, this tenant root group is created for us. This is where our subscription, whether you have activated an Azure Pass subscription or you're bringing your own subscription, this is where your subscription is going to live. Within task 2, we are going to upload this custom role JSON file from the files that I previously showed. And there we're going to go ahead and assign that custom role to this user. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're navigating to the portal. We're selecting management groups. Okay, so we've navigated to our management groups, and we can see here we have this note that says that we are registered as the directory admin, but we don't have the necessary skills to access the root management group. So what we need to do is we need to go navigate to our Azure Active Directory. And under this Manage section, we are looking for Properties. From here, I want to select the access management for Azure Resources and go ahead and choose yes. We need to save this. We're going to go back to the management group blade. And we'll go ahead and start using management groups. Okay, we can see here it's going to take some time based off of the update that we have completed, so just be mindful of that. Let me go ahead and refresh. Okay, I did a hard refresh and now we can see our tenant root group, whereas before we did not have that access. Going to go ahead and select create, and here I'm going to say that my management group ID is set to AZ-104-02-MG1, MG standing for management group, and we will set that as the display name as well. I'm going to refresh because it will just take some time for it to be listed on this screen. And I'm going to go ahead and select into our newly created management group. I'm going to choose subscriptions, and I'm going to add my subscription here. Overall, when you are creating management groups, right now we just have one subscription, but the benefit of management groups is being able to apply, we're getting ready to talk about policies at scale. So, you know, if we had an organization called, let's say our organization was our IT, and we had an HR as well. And within HR and IT, the subscriptions were organized by regional office. We could create a management group and have multiple subscriptions within that management group. In this case, we only have one subscription, so we'll go ahead and continue on. So within task 2, I'm going to be using that custom role-based access control role. This is what is within the lab files. I can go ahead and copy it. It's listed here for us to use as well. Open the JSON file and go ahead and replace this subscription ID with the subscription ID that is within our management group that we can see here. We're in the management group that we have previously created. Go ahead and do that. I can easily copy the subscription ID here and navigate back to my notepad, paste that there, and I'm going to save this JSON file. From here, I want to go ahead and open up Cloud Shell, and I want to make sure that my I want to make sure that it's within PowerShell as opposed to Bash. Okay, because we have saved our JSON file, we want to go ahead and upload it, and we're going to do that by selecting this Upload and Downloads button here, and we're going to upload. Go ahead and select Labs, Lab 2. This is the file that we just updated. And from here, we really want to go ahead and create that custom role. Right now, we've just uploaded the file, and I'll show you. We can go to this editor and scroll all the way down to this AZ-104-02A-custom role definition. That's the file we just uploaded. And we can see, we can view the file here, and we can also edit it from here as well. So if you wanted to go ahead and upload the file and then modify it as far as your subscription, you could do that as well and save it within here. So you have a couple and a variety of options. Didn't mean to close my Cloud Shell, but it's all good because my file is still there. It's still persistent. The other thing that I'll note is when you first access this Cloud Shell, we can see this note here that you may not have storage mounted. Because I've already used Cloud Shell, I've already mounted my storage, you may need to go ahead and click Create Storage. But overall, it's fairly straightforward within the portal. Portal does a good job of walking you through getting that storage mounted. So I'm going to go ahead and use this new -AZ role definition. And we're using the flag input file. We're specifying its location. along with the file name. The other nice thing is you have this ability to go ahead and copy over the PowerShell command into the Cloud Shell. But I think it's a good practice to start, exercising your muscles by actually typing it out. But you have that ability as well. So we can see this was successful. Right now we have created the role definition, but no user has been assigned this role. So that's what we want to do in this next task. So I'm going to navigate to our Azure Active Directory. I'll close my Cloud Shell for now, select users, and go ahead and create a new user. The username is going to be AZ-104-02-AAD1. And I had some extra spaces there, along with our name. I want to go ahead and create my own password. And that is all I need to go ahead and create. I'm going to navigate into this user, and I want to select the user as opposed to choosing this checkbox. I want to actually click into the user. And from here, I want to go ahead and copy this user principal name. We want this entire user principal name because we're going to be using this in a moment. I'm going to navigate back to my management group that I created previously. And I can view this access control, identity, and access management. And this is where we can go ahead and assign that custom role definition to the user that we just created. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and select add, and we can see we have a variety of choices, including add our role, assignment, which is what we're going to choose. We also have add co-administrator and add custom role. We added our custom role by using PowerShell. So for now, I'm going to add my custom role. And I'm going to search for support request contributor, and this is the custom role that we're looking for. And we want to go ahead and assign this to the user account that we created, which was the AZ-104-02-AAD user 1. I'll go ahead and review and assign. Nice. Okay, so that was fairly quick. Now we want to go and access that user that we have created this support contributor role. This is why we wanted to copy the full user principal name. So let me go ahead and navigate to an in-private window, and I'm going to navigate to portal.azure.com. And I'm logging in with that full user principal name. Notice here this on Microsoft.com. So make sure you copy the entire thing. Go ahead and select next. Okay, we can go ahead and log in. Now we need to update that password. I'm going to skip this for now because I'm going to clean up these resources because it's just for my demo. Okay, so once we are in the portal logged in with this AD user 1 that we have created, we want to navigate to our resource groups because we're verifying that we can indeed see the resource groups within my subscription. Why is that? Well, if I go to the custom role definition we already specified and assigned to this user, we can see that, we can see this scope. It's scoped to being able to read our resource groups. Okay, so from here, I want to search for help and support and go ahead and create a support request. Within step 9, Azure is constantly changing, so this is as anticipated. So some of these steps are not necessarily in sequential order. Once we navigate to our help and support and we're opening a new support request, we want to choose this service and subscription limits quotas. From here, we're specifying our subscription, and we don't need to specify the quota type. Here, we're just demonstrating, the ability to go ahead and continue. We're not actually going to submit this support request. We have concluded with our Lab 2, Part A. Let us go ahead and continue on. So first I'm going to sign out and I'm going to clean up these resources. I'm navigating to Azure Active Directory. I'm going to select users. And under all users, I want to go ahead and click into this. We are using PowerShell to go ahead and do our cleanup, but of course we can also use the portal and easily delete from here. But instead, I'm going to copy the object ID from here and open up my Cloud Shell. Make sure that it is in PowerShell. And here we're going to create a variable called scope. We're going to set it equal to the get AZ role assignment with the flag role definition name, which is the support request contributor custom. Go ahead and end that quote. We'll say dot scope. Okay, next step, we're going to go ahead and remove this role assignment. So we're saying remove -AZ role assignment. We're using the flag object ID. And next, we want to paste that object ID within quotation marks. Use our flag role definition. Role definition name, which is the support request contributor custom. Specify the scope flag and use our variable that we created previously. So we have removed the role assignment, but we haven't actually removed the role as of yet. So that's where our next step, where we say remove -AZ role definition. We're going to say the name, which is the support request contributor. Custom. And we're using the flag force. Alrighty, so next we're going to go to our management groups. I'm going to close the Cloud Shell. And selecting this ellipsis next to our, let me actually expand this. We want to select this ellipsis next to our subscription. We want to say move, and we're going to move this to our tenant root group. Go ahead and save. Okay, so we can see that this has been verified. We've done the update. It is within my tenant root group instead of the management group that I've created. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and delete this management group. This will take some time. All right, we can see that was successful and it's updated within the portal. So as a quick overview of what we have done within part A of our second lab, okay, so we have first created our management group. This is a typo. This should really say MG1, and that was holding our subscription. From there, we used that custom role definition and we replace our subscription ID, this subscription ID placeholder, with our actual subscription ID, which is representing this particular subscription. From there, we went ahead and created a new user called AZ-104-02-AAD user 1, and we went ahead and assigned that role this custom definition. From there, we logged in as this user to verify, do we have access to the resource groups? And then we went into, to go ahead and create a support request. We didn't actually go ahead and submit, but we walked through the action so you're familiar with where you can go. Alrighty, so within part B, we're really talking about governance by using Azure Policy. So in this case, we are going to be using resource tags, and this really helps with organizing your Azure resources and, directly relates to being able to organize your billing data, for instance. We also want to make sure that our tags are being properly used for our resource groups, and this is a great use case for using Azure Policy. In this case, we can remediate those non-compliant resources, again, with using Azure Policy. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to navigate to my Cloud Shell. And I want to make sure that I am in a PowerShell session. The first thing I am going to type is this df, and I really want to view the disk within my drive. And here we want to take a note of this CS, and in my case mine's 2100, 3000, so on and so forth. We want to take note of this. Okay, because in a moment we're going to go into our portal and we're going to navigate to our storage accounts. And once we are within our storage accounts, hey, look at there. This matches what we see within the portal. We want to reference the resource group that this storage account is currently in. So let's highlight a couple things. We've matched our storage account name after viewing the dis within our PowerShell session. And next we want to reference the name of our resource group, which is listed under this overview blade. So by default, we can see our resource group. Okay, I can go into this resource group by selecting, and I'm going to select edit here under tags, or right next to tags. And I want to specify the name as role and the value as infra. and go ahead and save. Now I want to go back to my storage account, which I can see is listed within my resource group. And we can see still, okay, as it loads. Okay, we can see still there, the tag that we created was not automatically assigned based off of our resource group. We have some tags here, but it's not the tag that we created. Okay. This is where Azure policies are going to come into play to enforce that tagging, which is great for management because you don't have to go and, navigate to these resources. You can use Azure Policy to do the enforcement for you. So first I'm going to go into Policy, and under Authoring I want to select Definitions. Within my definitions, I can see I have a variety. I can choose between my built-in, of course. I have a custom one that I've created. We can filter by category, and this is already built into Azure, which is hugely beneficial. So we can see we have a variety to choose from. I'll also say, right here we can see our policies, but we also have initiatives. And our initiatives are really describing a group of policies. It's a best practice to use initiatives even if you only have one policy because it really helps with the management. I'm going to go back to policy and search for tagging. Actually looking for the require a tag and its value. And let me just specify that I want this value on my resources. I'm going to go ahead and select Assign at the very top. And here I can choose my scope. So previously we created a management group, and say our management group had multiple subscriptions. This is a great way to go ahead and assign policies at scale. In this case, we are going to choose our primary subscription along with our resource group, and this is going to be the resource group where our storage account that matched this name was located, which was the Cloud Shell storage account. Okay, so from here, I can change the assignment name. I'm going to change this to the require role tag for the infra value. So it can be different than the policy definition name, which is great because it's more specific to our scenario. We can provide a description, which is to require the role tag with the infra value for all resources within that resource group. If I scroll down, we have the choice to disable this policy enforcement. For now, I'm going to keep it enabled. Now I need to choose the tag, name, and value. So that will be role and infra. Next, for our remediation, we want to leave this create managed identity checkbox unchecked. But we want to use this if, our policy includes a deploy if not exists or a modify effect. But because our policy doesn't contain that, we can go ahead and continue. This non-compliance message is great because it can provide additional insight for users. For now, I'm going to keep it I'm not going to specify, but it's a great feature. I'll go ahead and create. Within the instructions, I want to note that we can see here, it can take a couple minutes for this to go ahead and actually take effect. So just be patient. It will take some time. And while we saw that this was, selected the wrong thing. Within my notifications, we saw that the assignment had succeeded. We can see that it takes up to 30 minutes to take effect. So go ahead, take a break. I'm actually going to go walk my dog, and by the time I come back, we should be in business. So I will see you soon. Okay, we are resuming. It's been nearly an hour, so our policy should be in effect. I'm going to navigate to the resource group where my previous storage account was hosted. So let me search for resource group. I'm going to choose this Cloud Shell storage, and I'm going to add a storage account. Another way of doing this is navigating directly to storage account and specifying the resource group. But following the lab exercise, I'm going to go ahead and create a storage account. And from here, I'm going to choose my resource group, which is that Cloud Shell storage. And I need to provide a unique name for the storage account. The reason we need to have a unique storage account name is because it makes up our URL where it can be accessed from. In this case, I'm just going to do my initials, and let's do a number. And I can keep everything else as the default. I'll go ahead and review and create. We'll talk about some of these storage configurations within Lab 7 when we focus on storage. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and review and create. Oh, we see that we need to have our tags. This is where we want to verify in step 13 that it did indeed fail. And we can see it failed based off of our policy that is enforcing tags. All right, so I'm going to navigate to the policy and select assignments. And from here, I'm going to assign a policy. Choose my scope. Right now, it's scoped to the subscription, but I can also choose the resource group. I'm going to choose that Cloud Shell storage resource group. I can also choose to add exclusions. So if I had other resources within that resource group that I wanted excluded, I could choose to do that. For our policy definition, I'm going to search for inherit. A tag from the resource group if missing. Go ahead and select. For the name, I can choose to have it different than the policy definition name. In this case, it is going to be inherit the role tag and its info value from the Cloud Shell storage if it is missing, along with the description as well. Go ahead and select next. For my tag name, I'm going to set this as role. For my remediation, I want to create a remediation task, which is to inherit the tag from the resource group if it is missing. We'll go ahead and select next. And we'll go ahead and create. Now I'm going to go back to our resource group. And I'm going to, oh, I'm in the storage account. Let me go, I'm actually just going to create a storage account. And from here I want to choose my resource group. For the Cloud Shell, I'm going to choose a unique name. Because we didn't actually create the last storage account, this is still good to go. I'm going to go ahead and verify that our create works. Okay, so we're getting this validation failure, but note, we just created this policy, and again, it's going to take about 30 minutes for this to go into effect. And it's been about a couple seconds since we've created it. So go on another walk, take a little break, and then we'll come back once this assignment has gone into effect. Alrighty, we are back. It's been about 30 minutes since our policy has been assigned. So I'm going to refresh my browser. I'm going to navigate back to my storage account. And I'm going to create a storage account. I want to choose the resource group where the Cloud Shell storage was mounted and provide a unique storage account name. I'll go ahead and select review and create. And we can see our validation has indeed passed. So it just takes some time for the policy to go ahead and take into effect. I'm going to create, and this won't take too long either. Okay, so now that our deployment has completed, it's successful, I'm going to go to the resource, and at the very top within this overview blade, we can see that we indeed have the tags listed for our role set to infra. It was based on the policy that we assigned. And that was a built-in policy that we used. So let's go back and just quickly review that. Since we have seen it full circle, let's go back to the policy. And I have a couple policies that are currently in place, but I can view all. I can see by this scope, I'm going to open this out. I can see I have require the role tag and infra value along with this inherit the role tag and its infra value based off of that resource group. Wonderful. And just as a quick review, our resource group has this tag set for the role and infra. And right now, storage account is going to inherit that if it is missing. Okay, so this last step is really on cleaning up the resources. So I can navigate to my policies and I can choose to delete the assignments that I created for this lab, which are these last two listed here for the inherit the role tag and its value and require role tag with the infra. I'll go ahead and select delete assignment. Yes. In here, delete assignment and yes. We can also do that within the assignments blade as well. There's a variety of ways that you can delete the assignment. I'm going to navigate back to my storage account. Really, it's instructing us how we can delete our tags that we created or that were inherited. So I created this storage account. And from here, we'll wait for this to load. I can go ahead and edit and delete this and save. I'm also going to delete the storage account as well. Be mindful that this cannot be reversed. So in order to confirm that we're going to delete the storage account, we need to type in the name of our storage account. We'll go ahead and delete. Wonderful. So as an overview of what we have done within this lab, let's navigate to the architecture diagram. So first we needed to get this Cloud Shell storage name, and from there we created a storage account, and that needed to inherit the tags that were based off of the resource group. And the way it did that was by using this Azure policy to require tags and this Azure policy on inheriting a tag if it was missing, inheriting the tag from the resource group. In this case, the resource group was that Cloud Shell storage that we needed to get the name of by using the Cloud Shell. So if you made it this far, congratulations on your commitment to learning new skills. We'll go ahead and continue on with our multi-part series. Thanks.